What's up, everybody? It's your favorite train operator, Jay Bailey. Yes, that Jay Bailey, the one who slept the pick a few picks ago. That Jay Bailey, your favorite train operator. Just as I promised, I'm back with some more info about this workers' comp situation. And when I say enraged, I'm enraged because if they've done it to me, imagine how many other employees they've done it to. And it gets bigger. Like I said, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than the union. It's bigger than even MTA. All big businesses, corporations that have been in New York State. Um, I'm pretty sure that some, if not most, are doing this very same tactic to their employees. I hope not, but when you get a chance, share this video out to anybody in civil service, police, fire, EMT, nurses, anybody that's in a union or anybody that's like in a big business where, especially even construction, where people are more likely to get injured on the job. Share this out to them because it's information that they need to look into as well. Because a lot of these companies, especially and specifically in this case, New York City Transit, MTA, they're getting over. They are getting over. And let's take a look at how they're getting over. Allow me to share my screen. Let's see. I don't got this light on shining on my head, but it's all right. This right here is the website where you can go to get e-case access. If you ever had a workers' comp case, and like I said, it does go back years. It does go back years, being that they digitize a lot of the files. So if you've ever had a workers' comp case, even if you have filled out an IOD and did not, you just filled out an IOD but did not go out on workers' comp, those cases should be here. Let's see. I log in. And as you can see, I'm already logged in. And then as you can see, you have all these documents that are in your case. As you can see, this case didn't have as many documents as this one. So what's most important is when you're looking for through your case, this form, and you can just find it easily by clicking on form and sorting it, and it's listed alphabetically. This form is what you're looking for. All right. And you can also sort by the date. I usually sort by the date from most recent to the past, because this way I know what's been submitted by either the workers' comp board or the attorney or their attorney recently. The most recent document is at the top. So I usually sort it this way. So let's go from here and let's go to this. Now, this right here is that form that I was talking about, a C-240, right? What's important about this is it lets the workers' comp board know how much you are getting paid as an employee, because what you're getting paid determines what your compensation is. You see? Now let's take a look at how MTA and probably other companies are getting over. As you can see, this is back from 2013. And let me see if I can zoom it in. There we go. They put this number here. I don't even know where they got this number from. But according to their calculations, based on the payroll history, which I'm gonna get to that, based on the payroll history, they took my gross divided by 52 weeks and stated, okay, he makes $14.67 a week approximately, or on average, and 30 cents on average, right? But they put this here. So when calculations are done by the workers' comp board, the workers' comp board is using this number when it should be this number. Because you got to understand when they're going through their cases, when the examiners are going through cases, they're looking at one spot and one spot only. They're not researching, they're not going through and saying, hey, oh yeah, by the way, oh, these numbers are not matching. This is a number that they're using, and this is how they're getting over. Let's take a look at another example. Oh, look at this. The form has been updated since 2013. So now this is back in 2016, and they have a new calculation. Once again, they put a random number there, whatever number that they chose. And let's see. Let's look at the new calculations, right? They take my total gross divided by the number of days that I worked in a calendar year, in the week, in the year previous to the injury. So they go back, the calculations have to go back 1 year prior to your injury. So if you say you were injured today, September 20, September 21st, they have to take into account from September 21st, 2023 to September 21st, 2024, right? So they take the total gross, and how do they get to 260, this number right here? The total maximum number of days that anybody can work, of course, including vacation, days that they can get paid for, is 260. 5 days a week times 52 weeks is 260. So this was a pretty this was a pretty good year. I worked 257 days, but this excuse me, this also includes days that I worked RDOs. So it does take that into account. This number, this total gross, is also inclusive of days that you work RDOs. So let's take a look. They put 1380, 1,380, 13 cents. But based on their calculations, which is the total gross divided by the days I worked, which came up to $338.94, that's my average daily wage. They take the average daily wage, multiply by 260, which it shouldn't be. It should have been multiplied. No, that's right. By 260, it gives me the average annual earnings. And you take that 88, 123.28 divided by 52 weeks. This is what I earned on average for the year preceding my injury back in 2016, 1,694.68. This is what they put on their form, but they still left this number here, right? And now, mind you, the date of my accident was June 6, 2016. This wasn't submitted till 3 months later. Let's take a look at how that has an effect. Remember this number, 1330, 1380, and 13 cents. This is a subsequent report of injury, also known as a SROI. Weird, but it's a SROI. Now, this one identifies just a payment report, stating what was paid out. So as we can see, the number that they used for the calculated wage was this number, when in fact it should have been this number. Now, what's the difference? Let's take a look. Oh man. Let's take a look. It is 1694.68 minus 1380.13. $314.55 difference. Now, you may think that's not a lot, but then over a course of a total of 39 weeks, that adds up, because This number here is based on whatever is put here. Are you seeing how they're getting over? So now you take these numbers, which are just a percentage of this number, and you can see how they are getting over. But let's look some further. This is another C240 that was filed March 18th, 2021. Now, this is interesting because the date of my injury was 11/18/2020, right? But this was filed after I went back to work. So let's take a look at this form. This is a C240 dated March 18th, 2021, which is interesting because the date of my injury was November 18th, 2020. And this report was filed after I went back to work. But let's take a look at the numbers. They're stating that for the year prior to November 18th, 2020, I earned $77,593.70 divided by 195 days that I worked. And they get the average daily wage of $397.92. Take the average daily wage, $397.92 times 260 divided by 52 weeks, and my average weekly wage was in that time frame $1,989.58. But they wanted to use this number. They put this number. I don't even know where this number. If the worker had more than 200, then the average daily wage should equal what? Listen, the number that they're supposed to use is this right here, 1989.58. I don't even know why this is even there. Maybe it's there because they had to put something there. I don't know. But it's definitely the wrong number. But now let's look at the next form called the SROI, subsequent report of injury. And it just details what's paid and how it's paid, etc. So the number that they used was 1512.28. The number that they should have used was 1989.58. And how much of a difference is that? 1989.58 minus 1512.28. $477.30. And now this number right here, the 966.78, is based on what was put here, 1512, right? And then that's what they used to pay me my benefits. They're stating that for this time frame, I received this much because I was total disabled temporarily, and then partially disabled temporarily. So the amount is reduced. I believe this is supposed to be 100%, and then partial, I believe, is 50%, if I'm not mistaken, or either 50% or 25%. I believe it's 25%. Partial is 25%. So, but don't quote me on that. But it's definitely a percentage of this number, which means these numbers should have been much higher, which means I'm owed money for this case. But let's look further. Are we noticing a pattern going, right? Here's another SROI. Now, this SROI is for my injury on May 4th, 2021, right? It was filed just after I went back to work. And again, they're using the same number for the year prior to May 4th, 2021. Same exact numbers. Two different cases, same exact numbers. Hmm. Interesting when they should be different. So as we look, as we go down, now this report was generated because I had returned to work. So this was a final total of what was paid out for this case. And as you can see, which one is this one? 2021. Oh, this is the good one. Okay, this is an excellent example. And this is what I was looking at that had me so enraged. So let's take a look at these numbers, right? 21,101.59 plus 16,685.17 plus 349.67 plus 2210.79. This is how much was paid out during my, when I was out for workers' comp. This is what's paid to me um, in compensation. This was paid this was paid uh, by the insurer, which, by the way, is um, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Insurance Company. Yes, MTA is self-insured. They have their own insurance company. Seems like a conflict of interest, but it's legal in New York. So now these are the hospital costs, medical bills, what have you. All of this was paid. Oh, this is the 2 weeks of pay that was paid out because of the 2 weeks after the injury. I used a waiver in elections. So whatever was paid out to me by for compensation for those 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, MTA gets reimbursed for that. But because they get reimbursed, this is how, when you're out on workers' comp and you use waiver and you sign for the waivers in elections, when you come back to work, you're able to get those days back because MTA has been reimbursed. So you're able to get whatever time that you use, vacation time, OTO, whatever days that you used while you were out that they paid, because chances are they empty your bank of days, including vacation time. You're supposed to get that back because MTA gets reimbursed. That's why you're able to get that back, just so you know. But as you can see, what was totally paid out for this case, 43,037.22. But let's look at what the C240 says. Again, same date of illness of injury, May 4th, 2021. But let's look at when this report was filed. Let's look. Let's look. September 11th, 2024. Almost 3 years, over 3 years after the fact. This report was supposed to be filed way back in 2021. They just now filed it. Why did they just file it? Let's take a look. First, let's look at the numbers. Injured workers payroll. Interesting. My information is missing. But they use somebody else's information, employee of the same class. We're going to get more into this. Employee of the same class, somebody named Perez. Who's Perez? I can speak a little Spanish, muy poco, but I'm not Perez. Well, let's see what they did. They took and used Perez's numbers to determine my average weekly wage. Now, mind you, let's go back real quick. based on the form that they filed back in, oh, let's see, June 8th, 2022, my calculated wage was 1512.28, and the calculated weekly compensation amount was 966.78, because this is a percentage of this, right? But over 3 years later, they're saying that my average weekly wage is 1695.86. Why is that? So here's the payroll information from this person named Perez. And as you can see, they're in something called a pay group TW1, which is interesting. And look, here's their information, and boom, this is their gross that they earned for the year prior to my injury. This is what they earned a year prior to my injury. And look, they worked a total of 260 days. God bless them. They're some working people. But here's my information. And this number is, I don't know, it's hard to see because when they scanned it in, this is 68,662 and 78 cents. And this is 168 days. Shouldn't these numbers be better than these numbers? Let's take a look. Now, based on the numbers that they said on back here, this should be my average weekly wage, which means for this case, the average weekly wage should have been that. And let's take a look. The 23 weeks at the same percentage should have been 24,000. And as a result, I should have gotten over $3,800 more. And then for the 34 weeks that they said that I was 25% disabled, I should have gotten an additional over 2,500. So totally, based on their numbers that they just submitted on September 11th, this is what I should have been paid based on their numbers. As you can see right here, these numbers. That's what I should have been paid in additional that. But let's take a look if they used my actual numbers, which is what they're supposed to do. My total gross that I earned for that time period from the year prior to May 4th, 2021, 68, 662 and 78 cents. I worked 168 days. Don't judge me. Mind your business. The average daily wage should have been $408.71. Quite a difference between over $339. The average annual earnings and the average weekly wage should have been $20.43.54. So using the numbers that they should have used, I should have had for the 23 weeks an additional almost $8,900. And you know what? And then also for the 34 weeks that I was quote unquote partially disabled, I should have had an additional almost $6,500 for a total of an additional $15,000. Now I knew I wasn't crazy, but back then I couldn't put my finger on it, and I couldn't understand. I was like, man, I'm thinking these numbers should be higher. But they were paying it out, and plus I had the Transamerica, and I'm just like, okay, well, maybe And so I didn't know until now. But let's look at why, this is how they are getting over. This is the number that they should have been using. But instead, they wanted to use this number, which is the same as this number from the year before. Really? This is how they're getting over. And not just MTA. I'm pretty sure other big corporations are doing this within New York State. So as we can see, this should have been, I should have gotten paid a lot more. But they filed this on September 11th. Oh, look at this. This is why they had to file a C-240. This is why they had to file a C-240, because for this injury for my right shoulder, I'm in the process of what they call a proposed conciliation. So in other words, all the treatment has been done. It's not going to get any better. So there's a schedule loss of use for my shoulder. The doctor says there's about 20% loss of my right shoulder. So once that report was submitted, oh, transit is just like, oh, okay. Because now with that 20% loss, they're supposed to pay me for that loss of use, right? So they get the notice from the workers' comp board saying, hey, we got the medical report. You can either dispute, or you can accept that the employee has a loss of use, and you can either accept or refute it. They chose to accept it, but this is why they accepted it, because they filled out the C-240 way after the fact, using somebody else's numbers, and then said, oh, this is what we paid him. So we're asking for reimbursement for whatever scheduled loss of use for his shoulder. So whatever was already paid out, you see how fraudulent this looks? Whatever was already paid out, we're requesting a reimbursement for that, for his shoulder. And this is what they're saying. They're saying that from May 5th, 2021 to June 2nd, 2022, they paid me this amount. Oh, but wait. According to the form that they filed on June 8th, 2022, June 8th, 2022, they only paid me this amount. Based on their own numbers, let's see, minus 62,183.44. Using their own numbers, they owe me an additional 18 grand. So if they're doing this to me, how many cases have they done this over the years? And look, they submitted this, New York City Transit, and then right behind it, their lawyers submit this form, or this letter, stating that the self-insured employer, New York City Transit Authority, accepts my scheduled loss of use of the right shoulder, but based on, they're looking at this number, they're saying, oh, prior payments exceed the schedule. Somebody lying, somebody's committing fraud. Oh, why is it fraud? Let's go back to the C-240. Let us zoom in. Do, 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 do. What does it say? An employer or insurer or any employee, agent, or person acting on behalf of an employer or insurer who knowingly makes a false statement or representation as to a material fact in the course of reporting, investigation of, or adjusting a claim for any benefit or payment under this chapter for the purpose of avoiding provision of such payment or benefit shall be guilty of a crime and subject to substantial fines and imprisonment. So this is the games that they're playing. Chances are you're owed money. Go through your cases. Um, I know I don't think this video is shareable outside of the group. So I will be posting it, if not me or Tramel will be posting it on his platform. Other people can, post it on their platforms. I'm gonna definitely share this video. It'll be on my platform, not my platform, my YouTube account. At life at life transparently at life transparently. I should have wrote it on the screen, but I'm not that savvy just yet. But anyway, I'm Jay Bailey, your favorite train operator. Talk to you later. Where's the button?